look at what I've got for you today. Okay, so here is your sheet. This is a sheet I would like for you to start with. I do want to also point out I'm sending you the reference sheet. And we're going to talk about this here in a minute. They have slope on there, but that refers to finding slope when you don't have a graph. Right now we have a graph, and I really just want you to understand the idea of what slope is. So, move me out of the way here. Here are two graphs. So first thing I want you to do is look at these graphs, look at the lines, and decide, does it look like that line is increasing or is that line decreasing? Okay, so go ahead, and if you need to pause your video, look at those real close. Go ahead and do that and come back to me. Okay. So number one, if you start on the left and move to the right, okay, I'm going to put my cursor on the line itself on the left and follow the line. What you may notice in reference to the graph, it's dropping. It's dropping, so that would have a negative slope. We see that as negative. All right, take a look at number two. If I start on the furthest left that I can get, that's here. Follow the line. Okay, as I go, it is rising. It's increasing. So that's a positive slope. This is pretty steep. This has a pretty steep slope. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. But the first step is deciding positive or negative. Number one would be a negative, it's dropping. Number two would be a positive because it's increasing. All right. I want to point out, it doesn't matter where in the coordinate grid the line is. Okay. If you take a look at number one, it's down here kind of in what we see as a negative section of the Y, but that doesn't matter. What we're looking at is where is it going, okay? Where is it going? Is it increasing or decreasing? Doesn't matter where it's at. So number one is dropping, so it's negative. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to take a little closer look at number one. So it's dropping, but now we need to describe how fast that line is dropping, okay? And so when we do that, we find 2 points on the line and we have to describe them. So make a little slope triangle. And I don't know if you have this on your, like a worksheet, or if it's just on your computer or even your phone, but you can see the grid. So if I started on this left one and went to the right one, I would have to go down 1 and over 1, 2, 3. Rise, and rise is up and down. It doesn't have to be up, it can be down. Rise, run. 1, 1, 2, 3. So 1 over 3 would be the number. It's dropping, so that would be a negative 1/3 slope. And if I go to the third page, there's the answer, negative 1/3. Okay, all right, let's go take a look at number 2. We already said this line was rising. It's rising pretty quickly. It's steep, okay? So it's rising, that means it's positive. Start on the left and go to the right. If I start at this point and go to that, I need to rise 1, 2, 3, run just 1. So up 3 over 1, 3 over 1, and it's positive. Positive 3 over 1 would be the slope. Let's go down and look at the answer. Three. I said 3 over 1, right? Well, 3 over 1 simplifies as 3 divided by 1, which is 3. So when we're talking about slope and we're using the numbers, just like in my example before, 3 over 6, we want to simplify that down as far as we can. So if it's divisible, like 3 divided by 1, or even 10 divided by 5, you divide it out and it's just the slope is the whole number. If it's more like a fraction, like 3/6, you simplify it like a fraction. Simplify it down as far as you can. So 3/6 simplifies to 1/2. All right. Let's go back up to number 3. Okay, go ahead and pause your screen. Take a look at number 3. Try and figure out what the slope is. Both ways to describe it. Where's it going? How fast is it going there? All right. So pause your screen, come up with an answer. Okay. Hopefully you're back. Number 3, the first question that we have to answer is where is it going? This line is dropping. It's going down. It has a negative slope. So that's the first part. I would recommend writing down negative. The second part is using the numbers, the rise over run. Describe how fast it's going there, okay? So 2 points on the line. Start at 1 and go to the other. So rise, up, down. 1, 2, 3. Over, 1, 2. So rise 3, run 2. 3 over 2. The slope on that would be a negative 3 over 2. That can't be simplified. Let's check our answers. There it is. Negative 3 over 2. Okay. All right, let's do one more on this page. Number 4. Pause your screen. All right. If you're back, which direction is this going? From left to right? From left to right, it is increasing, positive. That's the first step. If it's a positive slope, you don't have to put the plus sign, just like a positive number. You can just write the slope, the rise over run. If it's a negative, you have to put it. Okay, so it's positive. Start at 1 and go to the other. Rise, 1, 2, 3. Run, 1, 2. Positive 3 over 2. Check our answers. Positive 3 over 2. Okay, so I think you should be able to do that worksheet now, or at least the first page. Try those out, check your answers. And let me, yeah, okay. So now let's talk about the next section of slope. Actually, before I do that, let's go back. I don't have a worksheet right offhand. I'll probably do one in some of our next videos, but sometimes you're asked to find slope of a line like this, and there's not points on there, okay? You have to come up with your own points. So if you have that happen, the way you decide where points are is you look at the line and you see where the line crosses at an intersection, okay? So you can see the line crosses at this intersection here. This one would not be a point because it does not cross at an intersection. Here, that's not a point, okay? If you follow this down, it really doesn't go through an intersection again until here, okay? So if you have to pick your own points, if they're not on there already, you need to find 2 spots that the line crosses at a perfect intersection in the grid. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, if not, ask me, I'll give you more explanation. So that was how to find slope on a graph. Let's talk about how to find slope from 2 points. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to erase my board and then we'll get going. Okay, so you could see on that worksheet that we're getting ready to the next section, sometimes we are asked to find the slope of a line without even seeing the line. They may just give us coordinates. So I'm just going to randomly pick 2 coordinates. How about 5, 7, and 6, 8? Let's do -6, 8. 2 points, 2 sets of coordinates. This could be a line. If I gave you a grid, you could put each of these points and draw a line. Then you could do the slope like we just did. But you don't always have a grid at your disposal. And you're going to be asked possibly to find a slope from 2 points. So this is where the reference sheet comes in. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen here. If you look at the, reference sheet, okay, here's the reference sheet. If you look in the center of that left column, okay, it says coordinate geometry. Well, there's your clue, coordinates, right? Slope, and then look at this mess here. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, comma, x2 not equal to x1. All right, looks complicated, but really it's not. So let's refer to that as we are working on this next section. All right, so here's our 2 points. Remember, every time we see a coordinate, there's an x and a y. So in this coordinate, 5 is x and 7 is y. In this coordinate, -6 is x and 8 is y. All right. We learned that in the video from yesterday. So all we really need to do to find slope from 2 points is use our formula sheet and follow that model. Okay. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, comma, x2 cannot equal, actually I think they had it that way, x1. Okay, so first off, when it comes to this formula, this is not part of the formula. This is telling you that slope cannot be found if your x's are equal to each other. If your x's are the same, and we're gonna come back to this idea in the next couple lessons when we talk about functions, but your x's cannot be the same number when we're talking about slope and graphs and lines. And I want to explain that to you right now, but I'm not going to. But that is written in our formula. So when we're asked to find slope from 2 points, we really only need this section. Just so that you know, M is kind of the universal letter that we use for slope. And we're going to come back to that as well. So M means slope. Slope equals, here's the slope. So all we have to do is go to our coordinates and fill this in. Y2, that means the second y. If you look at these coordinates, this would be the first set, this would be the second set, okay? So the second y is 8. It's always minus. The first y is 7 over x2. The second x is -6 minus x1, which would be 5. The first x. So all we're doing is we're pulling the numbers out and putting them where they go according to this. You don't have to memorize this. You just have to use it to fill in. All right, 8 minus 7 is 1. -6 minus 5 is a -11. Okay. The last step would be to simplify this. And so what we need to see is 1 over 11 can't be simplified. Those numbers will stay what they are. But we also need to take a look at the signs. This is a positive divided by a negative. A positive divided by a negative is negative, meaning the slope is negative. So take a second. Think about this line, -1 over 11. That tells us about the line, okay? So I want you to pause your screen. Think about a slope of -1/11. Think about the description, and I want you to decide, where is this line going and how fast is it going there? Okay, pause your screen and give that a try. Come back. All right. So a -1/11 slope. First off, let's start with where's it going? Where is it going? It is dropping. It's decreasing. How do I know that? Because it's negative, and that's what it tells me. It's dropping. How fast is it dropping, do you think? Okay, so now is where we got to look at our rise and our run, our numbers, because this comparison tells us a lot about that line. So visually, think about this. Down or up, 1, and over 11. Then it repeats that pattern. Down 1 over 11. I'm saying down because this is negative, okay? Down 1 over 11. Down 1 over 11. Down 1 over 11. That is a very gradual slope, barely dropping. Okay, so it's not dropping very fast. It's dropping very slowly. Okay, so just if you can quiz yourself when you do these even and think about what do I know about that line, it's going to help you remember what slope is and how to find it. Okay, so this is how to find a slope from 2 points. Let's go to our worksheet.